Okay, on page 15, Mann versus Markle.
Good morning, Your Honor. Alex Ghibaudo for Amy Markle.
Morning.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. David Mann on behalf of myself.
All right, it's on calendar today on motion to strike plaintiff's objection and consider defendant's reply brief and exhibits in support of the same. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Basically, we're asking that the objection that was filed after the hearing that occurred on October 25th be stricken from the record. And the reason for that is that it's redundant, it's immaterial, and it's impertinent. He reiterates much of what he argued at the hearing. The objection also appears to be a sort of supplement to the arguments he made at the actual hearing on October 25th. He argues he intends to subpoena Facebook, for example, and argues that if he had more time, he would have presented more evidence. But he has 14 days to file a response from opposition. He filed it on the 13th day, so he actually had more time. He just didn't do it. Then in his opposition, he doesn't address the legal arguments. Rather, he waxes eloquent about his horses, the beauty of breathing the fresh air of Cedar City, Utah, the lovely mountain ranges and their peaks. And then he continues to call my client a liar. He's maligning her repeatedly through these frivolous pleadings that, forcing me to file motions in response to the pleadings that he files after the fact, which are improper. And then he maligns my client. And then after all that, he files a motion that saying basically vacate these hearings as being moot. So he forces us to file motions. His oppositions are worthless and actually, completely irrelevant to arguments that he makes. It's like a novel of the loveliness of his life. So what we're asking for is that the entire objection
I've already made my ruling on the underlying motion.
Right. But it's still, I mean, it was before you made your ruling. And so he was trying to influence the court without giving us an opportunity to respond. In his objection, he makes further arguments, like I said.
But I made my ruling in your favor, right?
You did. That's right. But this, like I said, this was before you actually made the ruling. So in my opinion, he was trying to influence the court improperly without giving us an opportunity to respond to it, forced me to file a motion. So I think, and then he files, a couple of pleadings after that are, again, irrelevant and vexatious. So what I'm going to ask for is that this court strike that objection, and also award attorney's fees and sanction Mr. Mann, because I fear that he's going to continue to file motions endlessly until he gets his way.
I know an order's never been submitted yet on my ruling, correct?
Right. No, I'm still working on it, Your Honor. He's threatening appeal, so I have to make sure that the findings are solid. So no, I've not submitted that.
I have to move on here. Let me hear from Mr. Mann, and then I'll get back to you, counsel. Mr. Mann.
Briefly, Your Honor, this issue is moot because the underlying motion's been ruled upon. And when opposing counsel says I was vexatious, I was trying to cancel the hearing. I didn't want any more hearings. As a matter of fact, I'd like to withdraw the motion because now it's meta moot on a triple because we had the hearing today on a moot issue, so we don't need the hearing. So I would like to withdraw that. There was no opposition. So to say it's vexatious, I'm trying to limit. And if remember, I was the one that made the offer of judgment, a simple apology, there wouldn't be an appeal at such. Regarding this point about me lecturing about my personal life, all I was saying is his whole argument about animosity to this person I don't know, was never a client. I have no feelings. I'm a retired lawyer living in the middle of Utah. There's no animosity to her. Specifically, just so I can get this on the record real quick, Your Honor, because there will, of course, be an appeal with a great respect to the court. Specifically, they did their first motion where they said there was one statement. I did my opposition and caught them where there were many statements, and so he urgently wanted to do his reply. That's the only reason, in an untimely fashion, that's the only reason I objected. But out of great respect to the court and just realizing the position I'm in, I, of course, accepted the court's ruling and said, hey, it's time to move on. Let's not have these hearings over ridiculous things. So when he's talking about vexatious, I'm the one. He didn't file an opposition to it. And the last thing I would ask, Your Honor, is my problem is I live 60 miles outside of the city of Cedar City. I have to drive 50 miles to get the internet. If he could get the order done, it's supposed to be 10 days. It's been over a month now. He's just trying to hold up the appeal. I don't want to keep having to drive 50 miles to check my internet to see if the order's done. Can we get a specific date, Your Honor? Thank you.
Right, Mr. Ghibaudo?
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about, that I didn't file an opposition, because I'm the one that filed the motion. He filed an objection that we responded to, asking the court to strike it. And then he filed his opposition. In addition to that, he filed a offer of judgment for $1 and a further apology. So I honestly don't, on the one hand, he says I didn't file, or he didn't file anything, and then he says he did file an opposition. I mean, it's a mess. It's truly a mess.
All right, well,
And,
here's my ruling. I'm going to deny the motion to strike the objection, but I'm going to overrule the objection, and I'm consider defendant's reply brief and exhibits, okay? So I'm granting the motion in part to the extent that it seeks to overrule the objection, okay? I'm not going to strike it. It's going to be in the record, but I'm overruling the objection. And I am granting the motion to the extent that it seeks consideration of defendant's reply brief, which I believe I did consider at the time I made my ruling, okay?
That's fine, Your Honor, but I think, what is the ruling on attorney's fees? Because the objection, again.
I'm not going to award any further fees at this point. I'll just leave it at that. And I'm also vacating the item that's scheduled for January 6, 2022, which is motion to cancel this hearing today, okay?
Your Honor,
Thank
can
you,
you
Your
put a date on the order, Your Honor? On the order, Your
I'm
Honor?
not, just comply with the rule, okay?
I'll get it done, Your Honor. I'm just working on the findings of facts. So because there's going to be an appeal, that's
Okay.
very important.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your
Submit
Honor.
the proposed order, please, Mr. Ghibaudo, okay?
I will do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.